Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining today's Resideo webinar session. Today, we are very excited to be reviewing the Resideo AIRCYCLE program. And in specific, we're going to talk about how you can use data to change the IAQ conversation with your customers. My name is Jamie Quanroot, and I'm part of the Resideo sales training team. And on behalf of all of us on today's call, I'd like to welcome you to our training session today. And before we get started with our presentation, I'm going to cover just a few administrative items for all of you. Make sure to join us every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is where we give you an opportunity to learn about our products and our training programs. For a schedule of our upcoming webinars in both November and December on a variety of topics, make sure to visit resideo.com/webinars and navigate to the tabs named HVAC and/or plumbing to find more information on the webinars that you're interested in attending. Next week, we are featuring the first in a series of 2 webinars on our connected thermostat portfolio. So make sure that you take a look at that registration and attend next week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Additionally, we are recording each of our training sessions, and you can find these recorded versions on this same website on the screen underneath the webinar recordings tab to reference at a later time. For those contractors who are joining us for today's live session, and you are interested in earning 1 NATE continuing education credit, there are just a few things to note. If you provided your NATE ID on your registration form, we do submit that information to NATE for your attendance of the live session today, and we won't need any additional information from you at this time. However, if you did not provide us with your NATE ID on that registration form for today's webinar, and you would like to receive credit for attending this live session, we do ask that you send an email with your first name, your last name, your NATE ID, and the date of the session that you attended to homes.university@resideo.com within 1 week from today. We do submit that information to NATE 1 week following the close of today's training session. Any requests that are sent outside of 1 week from today's live session cannot be processed. And then also a reminder, we can only submit requests for those NATE credits when you attend the live webinar session. And unfortunately, we are unable to process requests if you are watching a recorded version of any of our sessions. If you'd like more information about the NATE program, please visit their website at www.natex.org. And then one quick note before we begin our session today, all of our attendees are muted. However, if at any point during the training you've got a question, please go ahead and use that Q&A feature that is found in the Zoom webinar controls at the bottom of your screen. We are reviewing the last few minutes, or reserving, the last few minutes of our time today to answer any questions that you may have. So as we progress through our overview, make sure that you ask that question in the Q&A feature so we can address it at the end of today's session. For today's training, we have Sean Sullivan, who is one of our contractor development specialists in the Pennsylvania market, and Vinny Ventura, who's part of our Venco sales team out on the East Coast, joining us today. They are both going to be providing an overview of the Resideo AIRCYCLE program, how it works, what it can do for your business, and they're also going to be sharing a little bit about our Honeywell home branded IAQ portfolio as well, and how in conjunction with the Resideo AIRCYCLE program, both can be used as tools to grow your business. So I'm going to turn this over to Vinny and Sean. Take it away.
Thank you. This is Vinny. How is everybody today? And I'm going to start by just reading this slide because it kind of gets to the point. Resideo AIRCYCLE program is a proven business development program that helps contractors produce more indoor air quality revenue every day. And it all started with just one question. If IAQ is a real issue, and it is, and 95% of homes have a measurable problem that can be fixed, why is it that customers resist spending money on IAQ? That's the big question. And the answer is that most IAQ opportunities are essentially lost at this moment. How we present ourselves sets the tone on how the homeowner will perceive us in their home. Do they see us as the trusted professional that we're there to solve their problems and save the day? Or do they perceive us as someone who's trying to sell us something that we may not really need, or we really can't even measure to know whether we need it or not? So we need to stop guessing. So instead of guessing, homeowners need to understand which IAQ factors are actually present in their home, where they come from, and what can be done to resolve the issues. Okay, so a lot of these key IAQ culprits in the home are essentially what you see on the screen: dust, dander, pollen, odors and smoke, and possibly even mold. Okay, some of these culprits come from outside the home. Some of them are produced within the home. And because our home is a giant filter, they all seem to be kind of trapped inside of our homes. All right, and each home has a unique series of culprits or issues that we have to address. So we do that by understanding where our strengths are. Okay, and our strengths are in talking about health in their home. By buying all this stuff, you're going to feel healthy. You're going to feel great. Our conversation should be about taking back control of our indoor environment. So by doing all these improvements to your home, you're going to put your home back into control where it's supposed to be, as opposed to being talking about health, because essentially we're not doctors, we're HVAC professionals, and our ability is to have an indoor environment back in control. So what is the number one purchase customers are making in HVAC today? And this is the answer to this question is actually surprising. I'm just going to take a second for you guys to think about it. What do you think the number one purchase is? Well, here's the answer. It's data. Consumers are data driven. This is an important thing to look at, because when you're in the house and you give a consumer an answer to a potential issue, a problem in their home, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to research that, and they're going to look at to see if what you told them is actually true. Okay, so the idea behind AIRCYCLE is not just to monitor indoor air quality with a tool, but actually empower your technicians or your salespeople, even depending on who's doing the actual AIRCYCLE monitoring, with a solution to solve the IAQ challenges inside the home. And there are four elements to this AIRCYCLE program. The first one is the actual tool itself. Okay, and the tool is unique. I'm actually going to go back to the slide one more time. This tool is unique. We partner with AirAdvice, which is the company that makes the AIRCYCLE monitor. And the way this thing works is it has a 30-minute scan. It takes a snapshot of the air quality of the home that's being tested. And within 30 minutes, it actually takes that data and it sends that data via an onboard Verizon cellular modem that's built into it. And it sends it out to the cloud to the Resideo servers. That data is then put into a report and immediately sent back to the technician. So within 35 minutes or so, you have an actual report that's emailed back to you that you can now share with the homeowner. And it can be shared in numerous ways. Some technicians and salespeople work with, say, iPads or tablets. That's one great way of sharing it. If not, you could always send it to the consumer's, the homeowner's printer or their email and let them print it. And I really like that, because now you can use that as a place to make some notes and have a place to really put all your information together. Okay, and then the four elements of the AIRCYCLE program. The first one is obviously the tool. There's three other parts to this program, because you're not just buying a tool and then you're off to the races. We're actually going to be training you on how to use this tool with an in-depth training program. And then there's also two other portions of this program. Analytics. You have the ability to collect data as to how the monitors are working for your company and see where you need improvement and see how effective the program actually is. And then also there's ongoing coaching. So you're never left on your own. You're not just buying a monitor to get trained and we push you out into the world and you're all set. There's ongoing coaching as needed to make sure that you stay on track with how this program is supposed to work. So let's break it down a little closer. So step one is you're in the home And the first thing I tell technicians when I train them on AIRCYCLE is the first thing you have to do is you have to get into the mindset. The second you walk into the house, you're going to put the monitor down, you're going to plug it in, you're going to have it start taking its actual sampling of the snapshot of the home's indoor air quality. Okay. And then step 2 would be after the 30 minutes have gone on, then the report is generated. You get it back either on your tablet or on your phone, and then you can either look at it on the tablet or you can send it to the homeowner's computer or printer, and then you guys can look at the report together. And then step 3 is taking the findings of the report and actually turning it into a solution for the homeowner. And that's the second part of the report, which shows you the Resideo solutions to the indoor air quality issues or culprits or challenges that you may find in the house. So the AIRCYCLE has 6 points of control. We monitor 6 things. The first thing we monitor is temperature, and there's a range of temperature. The second thing is relative humidity. You also monitor that in a range. The third one is carbon monoxide, and that's a set point. So that means that if your carbon monoxide is above the point that's shown on the report, then it's something you have to take care of. And then the other 3 points, which are particles, chemicals, odors, and smells, and carbon dioxide, those are also a set point. Anything above the set point requires attention. Anything below the set point is acceptable. And these points of control are data that's taken from ASHRAE and World Health Organization information. So it's not something that's just made up out of the blue. It's actually data that can be researched, and it's found to be very factual data. So let's take a closer look at the report that's generated. You ran the 30-minute AIRCYCLE monitor. You got the report generated. Either you're looking at it on your tablet or you sent it to the consumer's printer, and now we have a report that's generated. We need to decipher this. We need to kind of take it apart and see where the issues are. And I'm going to take the report down to its components. The first part is the header. It basically has the monitor ID. Each monitor has a unique ID. So for a company that has multiple monitors, we know who ran the report in what house. Then there's a report ID, which is associates this report with the actual home that you're working with. So you can use that in your information when you're putting together an invoice or a data file for the customer. And then lastly, we have the date and timestamp of the report. The next part of the report is very, very important to the contractor or the salesperson making the decision as to what IAQ solutions we're going to present to the homeowner. And basically that is, in a nutshell, all 6 of the points of control, and in an order where it shows you what points are in good standing, what points are marginal, and what points require attention. And as you can see, they're color-coded. Red meaning needs attention, yellow meaning it may or may not be out of control. It's something maybe to pay some attention to, and green meaning that those are in control. The next part of the report is really designed for the consumer. So what we have on the right-hand side of each category is a speedometer. Everyone recognizes a speedometer, and it shows you whether or not the particular point of control is in control or out of control. So in this case, we're looking at carbon monoxide, and we have a 0.4 parts per million, which is fine. As long as we're below 6 parts per million, we're okay on that particular point. Here's another one, which is the carbon dioxide. And if you looked earlier, it said that it was marginal. So the carbon dioxide is at 784 parts per million. The acceptable range should be less than 750. So that's kind of close. So it might be okay. You may want to consider ventilation, if not on this visit, possibly the next. And then we have a couple of things that were out of acceptable control. Odors and smells. The acceptable range was less than 500 micrograms per meter squared. And we have a range that is, in this case, 1,079. So that's something that requires some attention. And then we also have the particles, which are also a little higher than should be considered acceptable, which is 10 micrograms per meter squared. Now, the words next to the report are designed to be simple English, non-technical, basically explaining what you're looking at, what carbon monoxide is, what humidity is, what carbon dioxide is, and then potential causes of these issues. So that's designed so that the consumer understands what they're looking at and can easily make a decision from what they're reading. So here's a closer look at two potential outcomes. So you may actually even run a report once in a while that you see everything good across the board. And you think to yourself, well, okay, so I ran this report, everything's good. Guess I'm not making a sale here. Well, there's always something that you can do to improve the control, and that would be the actual thermostat itself. There's always an opportunity to upgrade something, and I'll go over that in a little bit when I actually go to that section of the report. And then we have to run a report completely on the other side of the spectrum, where you have a lot of things that need attention, and that could also be on the other side. If you attack everything at once, you run the risk of scaring the customer away because of the potential cost of something like this. But a report like this can be actually taken in steps. You can take maybe the things that are the worst on the report, tackle those on this visit, and then maybe come back in 3 to 6 months, run another report, and see where we need some attention. How these reports are laid out for the contractor, this is the section the contractor needs to pay attention to, is whatever issue is the most important or the most out of control will always be on the bottom. So in the report on the bottom, relative humidity is where we need the most attention. If you look at it, it had a 60.3% relative humidity. I would assume this is taken in the summertime, where the acceptable range is 35 to 55. And the reason we do that is anything above 55, you have the potential of creating a mold situation, especially if particles are also high, in which in this case they are. When you have high particles and high humidity, you definitely have the opportunity to create mold. Now, whether it's toxic mold or not, it's still mold. Mold is something you want to take care of. So the third part of the report is the solution. And how it's laid out is whatever the worst issue was that came up will be the first thing that comes up on the report that you need to look at for a solution. In this case, it would be dehumidification. Okay, so the report's laid out. Usually, I like to call it as a good, better, best option. When it comes to dehumidification, it's more of a sizing thing. You want to size the dehumidifier according to the area of the home, and also the needs of the customer, what they're looking to achieve. So it's broken down to, you have your answers to your problem. Also, the little words next to the product is also designed to be easily understood by the consumer. On the left-hand side of the report is also some more information for the consumer, and it's all kind of like the bullet points that are designed to attract some attention and bring some attention to for example, saving money. By using dehumidification, you can save money because you have a house that's properly in control without using your air conditioning system to dehumidify, which actually is an inefficient way of doing things. It has a great warranty, a 5-year limited warranty. It has certification. In this case, it has Energy Star certification. So that's what the left-hand side of the report does. More information for the consumer. And then as the report goes on, it shows you all the different aspects of what can be used to bring the points that are out of control back in control. The last sheet will always be what we call comfort control, and essentially it's upgrading the consumer's thermostat. What we're showing you is our connected portfolio of products, whether they be a T6 Wi-Fi, and then we keep climbing up to a Vision Pro 8000, Smart, the T10, and then our Prestige IAQ being the top of the line. So it's kind of like a good, better, even better, and then best category. So even if you run a report that shows everything good up and down, all 6 points are good, the last page of the report will always be, hey, listen, even though your IAQ is great right now, there's always a way to improve your comfort by having a good control that you can actually monitor and remotely control from wherever you are. You can do it from a smartphone or from any type of smart device. So other parts of the report could be on ventilation. And again, on the ventilation, it shows you a good, better, best scenario. Good meaning a digital fan control, a better being a fresh air ventilation system that can be exhaust or supply ventilation. And of course, balanced ventilation is our top ventilation option. And then when odors and smells, good proper ventilation is a great way of controlling it. But using our UV with air purifier with AIRBRIGHT is another fantastic way to control odors and smells. Okay, so this is just a close-up showing you what the report would look like. The kind of information that is available for the consumer. So the words, like I said, are designed to show the features and benefits of the product, non-technical, showing you that by using this control, you're going to solve all these issues or concerns that you may have. Okay, turns out you can grow your IAQ business all year. Why I say that? Because normally you would think IAQ is a twice a year type of solution where you're in there in the fall, getting ready for the heating season, and you're in there in the spring getting ready for the cooling season. Well, the idea behind AIRCYCLE is the ability to grow your IAQ by running a report every time you're in the house, whether you're in there for a sales opportunity, whether you're in there for a installation or a troubleshooting or service call. You always the idea behind this program is you plug it in and you run a report and you have something to talk about after whatever you're in there to do is resolved. And then there's also the ability, the analytical part of this, the analytics. There is a dashboard which you will receive at your place of business through email, and you can see how many reports were run, how many of your monitors are actually being used by your technicians, and then the opportunity that is generated by running these reports and figuring out what the issues were and giving solutions. So the dashboard's broken down into some sections as well. First of all, this is what the dashboard would look like, and it's done on a weekly basis. The first part of it shows you the product demand. So it breaks down by category the different types of products that the reports have encountered as issues in or challenges in some of these homes. Then it shows you how many reports were actually run by ID. So it shows you, make sure that the technicians assigned to these monitors are actually running the reports and generating potential income opportunities. And then also it gives you a retail revenue opportunity, showing that if you were able to close all these deals, you'd be an additional X amount of dollars in retail revenue. So it shows you a dollar amount as to how much more money you can create by running these reports. So data beats guessing. The whole idea behind this program is you're not going in there and saying, you know what, it feels dry in here. I think you need a humidifier. You're actually showing the consumer data from a report run in their house, from data standards that are set by national organizations such as ASHRAE, and showing them that by doing these solutions to these control problems in their house, they're going to have a much more comfortable living environment inside their home. Okay. So again, one more time, just to put it all together, the AIRCYCLE program, the Resideo AIRCYCLE program is 4 parts. One is the tool. You purchase the tool creates the reports. The reports are sent immediately to the server, and it generates a report, which is immediately sent back to your email, and then you can share the report on the spot. Okay. Part 2 is the training. We teach you how to use the monitor, take care of the monitor, how to understand what the reports are, and then also understand the solutions, what the reports are giving you, how to properly approach those solutions. Then the analytics, the dashboard shows you how the monitors are actually working for your company, and if you need to make some adjustments to how you're using the monitors. And then coaching. As you see the need, you need some a little support. That's what we're here to do, to make sure that the program is working for you the way it was intended to work. So get started building this IAQ business today, because the potential is fantastic. And there's 2 things that are great. One, you have increased revenue for your business, but 2, you're actually solving real issues inside your customers' homes that they may not have realized were solvable. So by doing that, we're using a full lineup of our Resideo IAQ products, I'm going to turn it over to my pal Sean, who's going to go over some of these IAQ products that this report can generate.
Thank you, Vinny. So when it comes to IAQ, we have 4 different pillars, and Resideo has it all in regards to the portfolios to support those pillars. The pillars would include the humidification control, whether you're trying to add moisture to the air or remove it. So that'd be a humidifier or a dehumidifier. We also have ventilation. So ERV, outside air damper, maybe it's a bath fan timer. And moving to the bottom right of the screen, we have air purification, which would be our UV lights. And then the top left is air filtration, whether it be a media air cleaner or electronic air cleaner. And then tying it all together is our controls. So we have thermostats shown before you. On the left is a T10 smart thermostat with a remote wireless temperature sensor. And then on the right, we have our Prestige IAQ, which is an excellent thermostat for controlling indoor air quality, because it not only can control temperature and humidity, but it can control up to 3 indoor air quality devices. And that's just with 2 wires in the wall at the thermostat and then putting a module down in the equipment. So let's do a deeper dive into the 4 pillars, and let's start with UV air purifiers. That device there shown in front of you is our 24-volt UV light system, and we'll go into more detail on that. And this is our full portfolio of UV lights, and they range from being 24-volt, 120-volt. We even have 240-volt options for air handlers and heat pumps, and single bulb, and they also come in dual bulb applications. The main focus of today will be our 24-volt offering, which is shown on the right. So we have a UV 2400U1000. That is just a UV light with the bulb there. And then we also have that same model, but with an AIRBRIGHT odor absorption, which is the UV 2400U5000. When you look at what is AIRBRIGHT, so this is in addition to just having a UV light, but it's a device that's going to improve your overall air quality, the comfort, and your HVAC efficiency within your home. UV is also the same type of light that's tried and true in cleaning air with different applications, such as hospitals, restaurants, and other places where clean air is crucial. So we're using UVC, and that's the style ray that we're using. And then there's odors that can be caused within the home by volatile organic compounds. They accumulate in interior spaces, and the VOCs that's the source of the most odors within that residence. So AIRBRIGHT eliminates them and removes these odors from the air passing by the light. So how does it work? This is a great image of how you can install one of these UV lights with AIRBRIGHT. You can either snap it onto the inside of the plenum by taking advantage of the magnets that come on the UV light, and they're super strong. So if you don't want to put a hole in the ductwork, you can internally mount it just by putting up against the metal and then wiring it into 24 volts. Or you could use the template that's factory provided, drill some holes in the ductwork and slip it in from the exterior. But what happens is your blower comes on, air passes throughout your system, goes through the coil, and then goes through your UV AIRBRIGHT system, which is that cell on top of the light. And it gets attracted to that catalyst. So it's a photocatalytic oxidation is how it works. So these VOCs basically get sucked in and stuck inside that cell, and then the UV light breaks them down into harmless water vapor and carbon dioxide. So it's the same thing that we exhale and breathe. So it eliminates odors. So think about a car's catalytic converter. So where it's breaking down harmful things and make it, the exhaust more cleanly for our environment. Same concept. So photocatalytic oxidation, VOCs go into the cell, UV light breaks them down into harmless water vapor. So it's like a 1-2 punch. Not only are you cleaning the coil with the UV light, we're also removing any odors and smells produced by VOCs. Moving on to filtration, shown before you is our F300 electronic air cleaner. We have a number of options. Starting on the left, we have our media air cleaner, which is an F100, and that's rated at a MERV 11. MERV is your efficiency ratio, so the minimum efficiency ratio. F100 being MERV 11, F200 is MERV 13. The cabinets are identical to each other, The part numbers just signify what style filter we're going to ship with that device. They both provide good air quality. They don't require any electricity, and they'll go on the return side of the ductwork. And one thing you want to look at, especially nowadays, MERV 11 can capture different things, dust, pollen, some bacteria and things. MERV 13 is going to also capture those, but in addition, do a little bit better and also be able to capture some virus carriers. Moving to the right, we have our electronic air cleaner. They do require power, and it's going to give you a better air quality, renewable filter, so you can reuse the filters, you can wash them out. It's a narrow cabinet, and it's got a really low pressure drop. The MERV on that is going to range between 12 and 16. They differ from media air cleaners. As media air cleaners get dirtier, they actually will collect more because the pores within the filter are starting to plug up. And the opposite is the effect of the electronic air cleaner. As they get dirtier, the efficiency goes down because now we're losing surface area. When you look at a filter, you want to balance three things, and those three things are efficiency. So how much is actually being captured, your pressure drop, so how much airflow is going to be restricted, and then lastly, your filter life. So how long will the filter last before it needs to be replaced? At Resideo, we want to balance these things, three different things when manufacturing the filters. And you can see here on our chart, ranging from the MERV 11 all the way up to the the F100 up to the F300, we have a pressure drop, starting at 0.23 inches of static as a brand new filter. And then the MERV 13 is going to catch more, so we're going to have a denser media. It's going to have a little bit larger of a pressure drop. So we want to balance those things. All these filters are designed to last 6 to 12 months, depending on the application, what the activity level is within the home. But ultimately, if you measure a 1/2 inch static pressure drop across the filter, it's time to change it out. In addition to the media and electronic air cleaners, we do have replacement filter options. So these include pop-up filters, which are really great for service. Put them on the truck. What's great about them is they condense or fold down, and then when you time to use them, you clip the cardboard and it pops up like an accordion and goes right into place. So really no assembly required, just pops up. The benefit there is for a maintenance or demand response technician that's doing filter changes and things while they're on site. You could store up to 5 of these pop-up filters in the place of one filter that's already in place. So if you look at the replacement filters up below, when condensed down as a pop-up, you can fit 5 in the place of one. 6 to 12 month life, low pressure drop, and it's also MERV 11. We have replacement filters as well. So plenty of SKUs for Honeywell Home and competitive brand, as well as the Train Perfect Fit media air cleaners. The Honeywell Home models are MERV 10 and the Perfect Fit are MERV 8. Again, low pressure drop. And then a newer portion of this portfolio is our return grill filters. They come in 18 different sizes to fit most applications, and they'll be either MERV 10 or MERV 13. Again, 6 to 12 month life and a low pressure drop. Where these come into play is if you have maybe a crawl space system, or maybe the system's in an attic that you can't really get to, or you don't want to go to that area every 6 or 12 months, or maybe it's a commercial ducted system with ceiling returns. You can, instead of putting the filter up at the equipment, we can put it in the return grill. So the filters have about a 1-inch frame or a lip around them, and they'll sit right inside the filter grill. Now let's talk about dehumidification. So spring, summer, when the moisture starts to creep up outside, that tends to infiltrate within the home. And we have 3 offerings of sizes. We have a DR65, DR90, and a DR120. And those numbers are the pints per day of moisture we can remove. The smallest one on the right is your 65, and then on the left is your 120. The DR65, all of the dehumidifiers can be ducted into a full house dehumidification system, but the DR65 can also be a standalone. So that being said, you can get power to the unit, hook up the drain, then take advantage of the onboard dehumidistat, set it to the appropriate humidity setting that you want, and then you're done. If you want, and you're using a remote humidistat, you just set the onboard control to the off position, and now I can control it from either a smart thermostat or a separate dehumidistat that's wired and mounted remote. All of our dehumidifiers come with a MERV 11 filter, very easy to swap out. There's magnetic strips on the side that they just peel them away, and the filter access is provided. Then you put the magnet covering back over it. And they're also all Energy Star certified and come with a 5-year warranty. So there's your DR65. Take notice when we go to our DR90, we actually have 2 inputs rather than the 1. So the DR90 can not only dehumidify the area, but it also provides a 6-inch duct collar that I can hook up to fresh outside air. And ventilation is another pillar that we'll be talking about shortly. But keep this in mind. You can get a 2-for-1. So I could dehumidify the area as well as ventilate from fresh outside air. And it's going to be pulling out 90 pints per day of moisture, centrally ducted. Again, I can do standalone on this. However, this unit does not come with a onboard dehumidistat, so it does require a remote control. And then lastly, our DR120. It's a larger dehumidifier, 120 pints per day. Same thing with the 6-inch air inlet if I want to do fresh outside air ventilation in addition to our dehumidification. I can dehumidify while I'm actually venting, which is great, and centrally ducted or standalone. This unit also requires a remote dehumidistat. It does not have an onboard one, and it can also be utilized in light commercial applications. Now moving on to humidification. So shown before you is our steam humidifier. In the drier months, fall leading into winter and winter itself, things tend to dry out. So you'll need to implement more moisture into a home. That's important because there's times where you'll find symptoms within the home. Maybe you're getting static shocks when you touch the doorknobs. Maybe you got more of a itchy throat, more coughing, and your skin's cracking, nose is dry. That's good signs that you might need more humidity within your home. And the AIRCYCLE device will actually be able to tell you that humidity level. So if humidity is low, it's going to recommend a humidifier. There's 2 ways that you can add humidity to a home, and that's evaporative and then steam. So if you focus here on the left on evaporative, the way it works, it's controlled with a humidistat or thermostat. So if I need humidity, it's going to tell my unit to come on. What happens is warm air from your furnace is forced through your humidifier pad. That pad is going to be soaked with constant stream of water. And then the air is going across that pad, and the water will evaporate into the ductwork, and then the humidified air is transported throughout the home through that supply duct. Now, when you move to the right, we have a steam unit. That's controlled, again, with a humidistat or thermostat. But what's unique about this, it doesn't require the air from your furnace to go through a pad to make it efficient. So it actually has its own heat source, which are electrodes within a cylinder. Steam's created by those electrodes, heated the water. Once you start boiling and converting to steam, it comes up through the nozzle and into the ductwork. At that time, the blower of the furnace or air handler comes on, and humidified air is being blown and supplied through the supply duct into the home, increasing humidity. So here's our whole portfolio. We have whole house bypass units. They're very functional design and really flexible for application and simple installs, easy controls. And then if you move to the center, we have an evaporative humidifier systems. These are advanced. So what that means, that damper on a bypass, instead of telling the homeowner, open it up in the fall and winter and close it spring and summer, it automatically does it. So that provides a lot of value to your homeowner to where they don't have to go down to the basement and remember to open that damper and close it at the end of the season. It takes care of it for them. There's been times where homeowners forget to open it in the fall, and then we're just running water across the pad, and the humidified air isn't getting into the space. All that questioning comes right out of it. Let the humidifier do it for them. This unit also has water savings. So instead of opening the solenoid and letting water flow down that pad constantly, it'll actually pulse the solenoid. So we save a ton of water. And the pad access is extremely simple, and they all come with the HumidiPro on the advanced side. On the right, you have your steam humidification. So again, you can do on-demand humidification. I could set it to a certain humidity set point, and I'll get there if I'm sized appropriately, because I don't rely on any heat outside of the actual internals of this unit. I can hook it up to 120 volt for 11 gallons per day, or I can double to 240 and get 22 gallons per day. So it's extremely flexible in installation because you can go duct mount or remote mount. We ship you everything you need to go right on the duct. And also we ship a 5-foot hose if you want to go remote. And there's a 15-foot kit if you got to go even further away from the ductwork than that. Intuitive design, we've got advanced diagnostics, and it comes with a humidification control. One thing I want to let you know and keep in mind, when you have humidified air, the more moisture in the air, you can feel warmer in the winter by putting more moisture in the air. So that what that means is in the middle of winter, if I have an appropriate humidity setting in the house, I can even lower my temperature setting and feel the same amount of comfort because that air isn't as dry as it normally would be. And here's a snapshot of our whole house humidifier lineup. We have our basic bypass on the left. There's two sizing. So we have 12 gallon and 17 gallon per day. And that's a small and large. And that's the HE100 and HE200. When we move to the middle, our advanced is the HE150 and the HE250. Same sizing, so 12 gallons per day and 17 gallons per day for the larger unit. And then our fan powered provides 18 gallon per day across the board. So we have an economy model, which is your HE365. And then we also have the advanced model, which is our HE300. Moving on to the portfolio for steam, we have one model. It's the HM750. It's our advanced electrode model. On-demand humidification, extremely flexible. It's great operational efficiencies and advanced control, as well as they all come with a 5-year warranty. So we kind of talked about already, it can be duct mountable. So if you have the supply plenum height, and you can put this unit right on the side of the ductwork, we can inject right out the back of this unit into the supply duct. So it really reduces labor. If I have to go remote mount, we do come with the steam hose that's 5 feet in length, as well as a drain hose. Great self-diagnostics. So it does have an intuitive display with LEDs that tell you your displays what error codes, if any, or if it's time to change the cylinder. And how does it work? If you look at the far right picture, we fill up that cylinder with water. We energize these two electrodes by passing electricity through them, and it interacts with minerals in the water supply. That creates heat, and eventually will be enough heat to turn into steam, which comes out the top there and into the ductwork. Oftentimes get asked, does this need a reverse osmosis filter? And the answer is no. These units actually like mineral content within the water. That's what helps stimulate the conductivity with the electrodes and heat transfer. If you do have a whole house water softening system, these cylinders actually do come pre-mineralized from the factory. So we'll actually add some mineral content. So we do maintain the conductivity we need to be effective. The last pillar I'd like to talk about is ventilation. So shown before you is an energy recovery ventilator. And we're going to talk about the different ways you can ventilate a home, but more importantly, why do we want to ventilate a home? Well, nowadays homes, new construction, they're getting built tighter and tighter. And the reason being, we want to reduce our energy costs or energy loads. So if you picture like a refrigerator, it's super insulated and it's tight. However, the only ventilation you get with that is when you open the door. So same thing with the home. When you're getting everything encapsulated, it's almost like putting saran wrap around a house. It can't breathe. And when that happens, you're going to have a buildup of things that cause VOCs like building materials, combustion gases like carbon monoxide can increase, carbon dioxide and moisture from people breathing. cooking, showering. You can, if you're using cleaning products, those VOCs can tend to linger around within the home. And then furniture and carpentry can increase the formaldehyde within the home. So you really want to ventilate. Not to mention radon is another thing. That happens within homes and can come up through the ground. So tighter building practices lead to buildup of these pollutants and decreased dilution. So if we exchange the air within this home, we make it more in control and a better living environment. So how do we do that? There's 3 options. We can do exhaust ventilation, where we're basically pulling the house into a negative pressure. And you can do that by, let's say, a bathroom fan. And on the far left, we have a timer where you can time that bathroom fan to regulate, draw the air out of the house. And then what that does is pulls it into a negative pressure. So the outside air has a higher pressure than your house, and it leaks in because of that, which is a good thing, right? Because we're bringing in fresh air that way. Or we can put in a supply ventilator. Maybe you have a 6 or 8 inch outside air damper. We bring that open, force air in, and now we're pressurizing the house with fresh air. Okay. But the best bet would be a balanced ventilation system, whether you have a heat recovery ventilator or an energy recovery ventilator. And the difference is that the energy recovery ventilator does temperature recovery, but also humidity recovery. But balanced, basically what's happening is you're exhausting air out of the house. And while you're doing that, you're bringing fresh air back into the house. So it's balanced, neutral, and you're also recovering temperature. So if you're 20 degrees outside, and you're exhausting 75 degrees from your house, that there's a core inside the ERV that's going to balance that, so you're not introducing really cold temperatures back into the house. So exhaust ventilation, supply ventilation, and then we also have balanced. Here's some part numbers and some more in-depth information. So we have a 6 and an 8 inch outside air damper. You can utilize that for fresh outside air or for an exhaust. It's a very simple solution. You can use it for supply or exhaust. It requires that your system fan come on, so your blower does need to run. HRVs, they're going to be a balanced ventilation option. It can run independently, or you could duct it into the system, and it's going to do heat recovery. So think just temperature. And then we have ERVs, which will be balanced, could be independent or run with the system. Not only is it just doing heat recovery, but it's also doing humidity recovery. So the best bet would be an ERV. 3 different sizes for the HRVs and ERVs. We have a 70 CFM, 150 CFM, and 200 CFM. And when you look at this, we also have control options. So we have a digital control humidistat on the far bottom left here that can control 3 different IAQ devices. It could be ventilation, humidification, dehumidification. Our T6 Pro Smart, that's a Wi-Fi thermostat that can not only control the temperature of the home and run your furnace and air conditioner, but also can run a ventilator. We have our Vision Pro 8000, and that's a Wi-Fi model, the TH8321WF. And then we have the Vision Pro 8000 with RedLink, the TH8321R. So one key takeaway here today, that number 1 right before the R, that means I can control an IAQ device. So if it's a 0, that means I can't. If it's a 1, it means I can. So take that nomenclature and go to the Prestige IAQ kits. There's plenty of models there, but you can see before the R, we all have a 1, so I can control an IAQ device. Again, it could be a humidifier, dehumidifier, or ventilator. And then lastly, we have our T10 Pro Smart with RedLink. So that's a thermostat, it's Wi-Fi, 3 heat, 2 cool. I can control the temperature of my furnace and air conditioner, and also run a ventilator. So those are the controls that we can utilize on ventilation. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Jamie.
Thanks so much, Sean, and thanks to Vinny for walking us through the overview of our Resideo AIRCYCLE program, and also for showing us the details of our Honeywell Home IAQ portfolio. If any of you are interested in more information on the Resideo AIRCYCLE program or on any of the products that Sean covered during the technical overview today, make sure to visit resideo.com/pro for additional information. We have had a few questions come in throughout the presentation today, so we're going to transition to answering those questions now. As a reminder, if you do have any questions on anything that was reviewed today in either Vinny's portion when he covered the AIRCYCLE program, or Sean as he covered kind of the technical overview of our Honeywell home branded IAQ portfolio, please take a few moments and enter that information into the Q&A feature that is in the bottom of your screen on the Zoom controls, and we'll do our best to answer those questions in the time that we have remaining. So I'm going to turn it back over to you two gentlemen.
All right. I do have a few questions on the AIRCYCLE program, which I'm going to answer real quick. One of the first ones that I saw was, where can I get an AIRCYCLE? Well, if you look at the previous slide that we had here, Sean, can you just pass one slide over?
Sure.
All right. So the information on how you can get involved with the AIRCYCLE program is right there, resideo.com/pro/AIRCYCLE-program. There is a registration tag there. So you can go there and actually sign up for the program, and it'll show you what you need to do to get yourself an AIRCYCLE. The other way you can do this is to contact your local Resideo rep. He'd be more than happy to give you the information needed and show you how you can get involved with AIRCYCLE. Okay, you can go back, Sean. Thank you very much. And then I had a couple more questions on AIRCYCLE, which I'll answer real quick, and then we'll take any questions on IAQ as long as there's time allowing. One of the questions was, how many reports can I run? Well, you have an unlimited ability to run reports. And the second part of this question is there a charge per report? That's absolutely not. The fee for the system is a one-time fee that you pay up front, which includes the monitor, the program, and the first year's Verizon cellular service. And then all you pay for going forward is the annual Verizon cellular service per monitor. Okay. Then there was a pricing on that I saw in the Q&A that said, can you have pricing on the reports? Well, we don't want pricing on the report because that gives the consumer the ability to price check you. We want to make sure that the reports they're concise and they're informative, but they're also maybe we avoid the pricing thing because that's where you don't want to fall into. So we do not put pricing on the report. And then another question was, can you have the customer's name on the report? And that's another thing where we actually chose not to have that ability. And the reason being is the whole idea behind this program, to make it work, is you got to run a report every time you're in the customer's house. If you don't, then the program is not as strong. The more reports you run, the more opportunities you have to close a sale for IAQ. So it's a matter of numbers. And when you put the customer's name on the report, well, now you may have to ask permission to actually run the report. When we're running a report the way we do it, we're essentially running a diagnostic. Okay, we're running a report with to diagnose the air quality of the house. It's just one of those tools that we have to make our jobs better as HVAC professionals to resolve the issues within the home. So the answer is no, we don't want the customer's name on there because that way we may have to ask permission, and they may think we're trying to do something other than what we're actually trying to do, which is solve their IAQ problems. Okay.
One thing I'd like to add with that, Vinny, great answer there, is look at the AIRCYCLE like a fish finder. The more you run it, the more things you capture. But every time you run it and the report is complete, we do have a unique report number on the top left of each report. So depending on what system you're utilizing to manage your service, you can put that unique report number into your documentation of you did this call, this is what we found. And that way, if they're a maintenance customer, you're going to be back there in 6 months, you can bring it up and say, hey, we saw this last time, we ran it again today, we're seeing the same thing. Do you want to make an action on this? That's a great way to reference old reports. Here's another question, Vinny, from the chat. Can you set ventilation lockouts based on temperature and humidity for outside air conditions? And yes, you can. So you're using a smart control, like a Wi-Fi T10 or a T6, or maybe you're using a Prestige IAQ. As long as you have outdoor temperature communicating to that thermostat, I can do high and low outdoor temperature lockouts. And then even if it's, the humidity is really high, one thing that your homeowners might not want is if it's 10 degrees out, bringing in fresh outside air. Or maybe if it's 100 degrees out, we want to eliminate that fresh outside air coming in and causing our heating or cooling to run excessively.
Okay, let's see what other questions we have here that we can answer. How much more time do we have, Jamie?
2 more minutes.
All righty. There's a question here on can filter be replaced with return filter back grill and ceiling? Sean, I guess he's talking about the FC40 filters.
Yeah, let me look that up. Can filter be replaced with return filter back grill and ceiling?
I think that's the whole purpose of the return grill filter, is to have the ability to not have to cut in a box for a 4-inch media. What you're doing is you're taking the 1-inch filter out of the return, and then it's got that 1-inch slip around it, and then you slide this 4-inch sized filter in there, and what happens is it's just slightly smaller so that it fits into the duct, and then the lip will sit around where the 1-inch filter was, and then you just put the grill back on and you're done. And now you have essentially a much higher MERV filter that actually will protect the people in the home versus just a 1-inch filter that's designed just to protect the equipment. So that's the whole purpose behind those filter grill filters.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, like you said, no duct modifications, but you're getting more surface area on the filter.
There's a question on, I guess, UVCs. Do you have data sheets like RGF on virus UVC kill rates? Well, that data is actually ASHRAE data. There is a published, what they call the kill factor for all viruses and bacteria. And that's something that can be obtained through various websites. I don't think we have one per se, but we get our information just like everyone else does from those websites like ASHRAE and other World Health Organization, I believe, has that information as well. So you can get that information on all the different kill factors for the different types of viruses, because not all viruses are the same. And depending on what you're looking to do, that the kill factor would be on that on those charts. So those are available from organizations like the World Health Organization or possibly even ASHRAE.
All right. I think we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you both, Sean and Vinny. Make sure you join us for our next Resideo customer webinar next week on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on November 3rd, where we are going to review the first of 2 sessions on our connected thermostats. We're going to talk next week about our Wi-Fi and Z-Wave thermostats. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about our RedLink connected thermostat portfolio. So we're really excited about these 2 upcoming sessions because there's a lot of information built into our connected thermostat portfolio to cover with all of you, and we want to help you be as prepared as possible as heating season is already here in certain parts of the country. So we're looking forward to that discussion next week. So please be sure to share the details of that training with your teammates or your coworkers and join us on Tuesday, November 3rd. If you'd like to find more information about all of those webinars, make sure you visit resideo.com/webinars and navigate to either the HVAC or plumbing tabs for more information on our upcoming sessions. Also, we do record each of these sessions, and those recordings can be found underneath the webinar recordings tab on that site as well. And then another reminder to our contractors who maybe did not include your NATE ID on your registration form and you would like to receive credit for today's session, please go ahead and send an email with your first name, your last name, and your NATE ID number to homes.university@resideo.com within 1 week of today's live webinar session, and we will go ahead and submit that information to NATE on your behalf. And then two final things to note as we bring our session to a close here today. You are going to be prompted at the close of our session to complete a survey regarding our webinar session. We do invite you to take just a few moments to provide us with your feedback on this session that you participated in today. We are getting ready to offer many more sessions in the future, both on a digital front for all of you. So we want to make sure that we are hearing your perspectives on these trainings that we're offering, and let us know if there are topics you'd like us to cover in the future. And then we are also going to send you a follow-up email in just a few days that includes some follow-up information and some other details on the AIRCYCLE program that we discussed in our webinar today for your review as well. Just want to say one more time, thank you all for joining us for Resideo's webinar session on using data to change the conversation about IAQ. Make sure you join us next Tuesday, November 3rd at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time for a training on our Honeywell home branded Wi-Fi and Z-Wave connected thermostats. Have a great day, everyone.